So you want to be Barricade, or you want to get front row, or maybe even in the first few rows of a show? Well, we are here to help, because you're talking to two avid concert goers right here. And we are excited to share some tips and tricks on how you can camp better, how you can get closer, what are the different variables that you might have depending on the venue you're going to or the artist you're seeing. And so we're going to divide this in a few different parts so you can skip around to whichever part makes the most sense for you and the show you're going to next. But we're going to talk about those shows that you're going to go to where you're going to have to wait in line forever. And so this will probably include camping. And if you don't get a wristband in the morning, you're gonna have to stay there until the show. What do you do with all your stuff? We're gonna talk about that. And then we're also gonna talk about those ones where you're going to just get that wristband in the morning and how you can best execute that. So, for planning ahead, there are some things that you should plan ahead for every show you're going to, really.
Yeah, always.
And yeah, one of the biggest things is all of this, what we're about to say, is gonna depend on your venue and your state. And so every state has different laws against camping, every venue has different policies against camping. So it really depends on your venue. So the first thing I would do is check the venue website, because that is where it's gonna be the most up-to-date information on the do's and don'ts of that venue. And then after you check all of the policy laws, you're gonna have to figure out parking. If you're going to a concert, it's most likely in a big city where parking is either gonna be expensive or difficult to find. The nice thing about camping is if you are going in the wee hours of the morning, you might be able to find a free parallel spot. But especially if you're having to leave and come back, you don't wanna keep paying for going in and out of parking. So we want to research what are the parking lots, what are the free options, and make sure too, if you are parking in a garage or any type of paid lot, what are the hours for that lot? Make sure your car is not gonna get locked in, or you're gonna get charged for 2 days if you're camping, since you were there for, 1 day and the next day. And then also bathroom access. So guys, one of the best hacks I've heard in general for bathroom access is getting the Panera Sip Club. And so then you can go get a drink and use the restroom at any Panera. So this is a really good hack for big cities. Yeah, I've also heard people do this with gym memberships, the Planet Fitness. Yeah, that's another one, but a Planet Fitness is probably not as close to your venue as a Panera is. So definitely look up where are the places that you can go use the restroom. Honestly, a lot of them you probably will have to make a purchase to use the restroom there, so just keep that in mind.
I will say too, a lot of times, especially if you're camping overnight, other fans will take care of you. Don't be afraid to talk to them or ask them questions, because they probably have talked to security or someone and know. But a lot of times they always know where the closest bathroom is.
And that is such a great point though. When you are in line, especially when you're camping, you will make friends with the people who are around you. And if you're just nervous, don't be afraid to talk to them, because A, you're gonna make a new best friend. B, you are gonna help each other out. You're gonna find the restrooms, find the good food. And then you have someone to go to the show with too, especially if you were there by yourself. So the weather. This is always a fun one. We just experienced this with our Louis Tomlinson show in Nashville, especially if it is at an outdoor venue where there is most likely no covering whatsoever. This is something you're gonna wanna plan ahead and really make sure you got the weather app downloaded. Make sure you're looking at least a week in advance, and then definitely the day before and day of. And really pay attention to what your local news sources are saying. If they say take shelter, take shelter.
Take shelter.
This is not a moment where you should play around. The venue's never going to tell you to take shelter and then start the show when you're not there. So always keep a watch too. I feel like venues do a great job on Twitter, Instagram of updating if it is an outdoor venue, when doors will open, if they're getting pushed back, if an opener is now canceled. So make sure to really pay attention to both your weather app and to the official social media accounts of that venue.
Always bring a poncho.
This is such a great tip. Just always carry a plastic poncho with you, because you never know when it's gonna rain. And although rain shows are great, you don't wanna be absolutely soaking wet and then get sick or anything like that. If you are planning to go really early to the show, especially if you're camping, it is really important to know where the venue is, not just location wise, but how safe is this part of town? So a lot of venues that I've been to aren't necessarily in the best part of town because usually they're taking up a lot of space. They're in the cheaper real estate area of the city. And so when you are planning to camp in the middle of the night on a dark street, you need to be safe. And so always go in numbers, like never go anywhere by yourself. And usually if the venue does anticipate there will be a lot of people waiting, there is some type of security there.
Yeah.
So that is nice, but just make sure to be aware of your surroundings.
Sleep in shifts if you feel unsafe. And I feel like it kind of depends on the city. Like camping in New York City, I actually felt a lot safer doing that than in Nashville, because in New York City, you know, the city is like always hustling and bustling, and there's always tons of people around, and it's a well-lit street. But like Nashville, you know,
It was dead.
It's dead. I felt more unsafe like on that dark street in Nashville than I did in New York City. So I think it
Totally, and it really just depends. Yeah. So definitely make sure to keep a watch on that and just be safe with your friends, you know? Just stay aware of your surroundings and you'll be great. And then another place you're gonna wanna find is somewhere to get some food. So I don't know, what is the longest you've ever waited for a show?
36 hours.
Holy moly, that is insane. I think the longest I waited was like 14 or 16 hours. So if you are like us and just as insane and are gonna wait in line for that long, you're gonna want a meal sometime in between there. And so definitely just, you know, we all use our Google Maps, try to find the best food around. You could also just Uber Eats food in line or get pizzas delivered. I've definitely seen that before. That's always a fun too, like way to bond with other people. You're like, okay, who wants pizza? Like we're all chipping in, like ordering pizza. So yes, make sure you find some good food and stay hydrated. Always take water with you. Although it is inconvenient to go to the bathroom while you're waiting in line, you don't want to pass out from dehydration and miss the show. So drink water. Make sure to check the policies too on water, because a lot of venues will actually let you bring in a sealed bottle of water. So if you are really trying to get Barricade, get front row, and you're expecting to be there a while, especially in the summer in the hot sun, try to bring a sealed water bottle.
Yeah, and a lot of times if you're in the pit or if you're on Barricade, especially at an outdoor venue, they will have water for you for free and just hand out cups of water to you. But definitely throughout the day, make sure that you're drinking a lot of electrolytes and water.
Yes, if you're sweating a lot. Drink some Gatorade or some liquid IVs. And then when you are planning ahead, of course, we have to know what time do you show up. So each venue is different on this too, on what time doors open versus what time, if there is gonna be a big pit or general admission, what time is everyone getting there in line to start waiting to try to get front row. So that really varies. And from my experience, I feel like the easiest thing to do is kind of set a like goal time of like, okay, I'm willing to commit to like going at 8 a.m. or 6 a.m. or whatever. Do a little drive by and see who's waiting in line. That's always super helpful, because you don't want to be waiting in line for nothing if no one's there, but we also want to make sure that you get close to your favorite artist.
When you're camping, there's sort of two types of camping, I would say. So one is where you camp all day straight through to the show until the doors open and you get a wristband and you get let in. Lately, I feel like, especially since like COVID, venues have been doing a different system where fans can camp, and then at a certain time, say like 8 a.m., they bring you on to their property. So a lot of times, like even though a venue says that they don't allow camping on their property, a lot of times fans will still line up and just camp across the street or like barely off of the property to kind of cheat the system a little bit. And then the venue will still honor that line because it's technically not on property, but it's still the line. I personally love this system.
Yeah, it's way better.
It's way better. I wish everyone did this. However, if you don't have the luxury of leaving and you have to stay until the show starts, there are a couple things that you probably want to do just to prepare, or
things to bring,
that type of thing.
We've all seen when you're going into a show and then there's just all this trash and blankets and soccer chairs and all this stuff on the street, and that's from fans who weren't prepared because they didn't know where to put their stuff or what to bring.
So I think the main thing is, if you're staying, you are gonna want somewhere to put your stuff, because you can't bring a duffel bag full of makeup and clothes and blankets into this venue, but you're gonna need them to camp. So before the show, you need to either, if you have a car, to put it back in your car, and what time you need to be ready so that you can walk back to your car and put it in your car, and then take pictures, as well as be ready for the time that they're gonna call your number.
And you can also too, like, think about, this depends if you drove there, if you're at a hotel, it depends what city you're in, and all of this different stuff. If you don't have a car or a place near there that you can drop off your stuff, I think a good hack is to try to get the nearest hotel to check your bag at. You might have to pay them, but that's better than losing all your stuff.
Yeah, either that, or if you know someone that lives in that city that is not going to the show, you can arrange for them to come pick up your bags at a certain time. I did that. She just picked our stuff up and then picked us up after the show, and all our stuff was there.
And sometimes too, like, I wish more venues did this, but they'll have lockers or like a bag check. There's definitely a limit on what you're allowed to check, but you could check, you know, like a tote bag or something like that.
So also, there are different times that you need to be aware of if you're camping all day. There's a time for wristbands and what time your number is gonna get called and you're gonna get an official wristband. There's a time for when they're gonna let you in the actual doors to the venues.
Time when the actual show starts.
Time when the actual show starts. Just what time you're gonna be in line. For example, Harry at MSG, we lined up at 4, got into the venue at like 5, sat in a hallway for, I'm not kidding, probably an hour to an hour and a half before we were let into the pit, and then you wait in the pit for 2 more hours.
That's not like the usual though. Like, I feel like with most of them, yes, you still are gonna have to wait, but hopefully you don't get taken to a weird hallway. Usually you'll just get taken from the outside line to the inside of the venue.
You can usually find a wristband lineup time on the venue's Instagram/website. They will also tell you that morning if you are getting a wristband. They will tell you hours in advance, hey, this is what time you need to be ready. Then from there, sometimes they tell you, sometimes they don't, what time you're actually getting let into the venue. It kind of depends on the artist's sound check and all of that. But if you just ask a security guard that's there, they will usually keep you pretty updated on what they know. Also, Twitter is a great resource for that. Also, if you know other people who camped at other shows on the tour,
that's a great way.
You can ask kind of, hey, like, what was the timeline, so you have a general idea. I think those are the best resources for you to figure out those times. If it is hot and you are staying all day at the venue, like I did for 5 Sauce in 2022 for 36 hours, did not leave, please stay hydrated. Please drink water. I know you don't want to have to use the bathroom, but I promise you don't want to pass out either.
No.
If it is cold, please plan to layer up, and if the venue allows tents, please bring a tent. Like we said earlier, it depends on laws and all of that. Like, I know downtown Nashville, you can't have a tent. But if it is cold, please bring a heater or one of those like aluminum foil blankets. Hand warmers, like, please do not get frostbite. So just plan in advance and be mentally, I think, prepared that you are going to sit there for a really long time, but you're gonna have lots of fun too.
Yes. And I think the nice thing is you are sitting there with other people. And so always try to think of like, okay, like what activities can we do while we're waiting in line? I think that always makes the time go by so much faster.
Like, someone always has something. I think we've like kind of touched on things that you should bring while you're camping, but this is just a little list that we put together based on both of our camping experiences.
So if you are planning to wait outside in line, the first thing I would bring is a blanket. So no matter if it is 100 degrees out, you don't want to sit on hot concrete. If it's 30 degrees out, you don't want to sit on cold concrete. So bring a blanket. But also, I would recommend you put a tarp under the blanket personally, because then that is actually like separating you from the heat or the cold of the concrete.
I personally always use a picnic blanket when I camp.
That's smart. Yeah.
because it has a little more padding.
Yes. Bring the extra thick blankets that you don't mind getting ruined. Please, please, please bundle up. But even if it's not the winter and the summer, I'd still recommend bringing like a hoodie or a sweatshirt because you're probably going to be cold. No matter, honestly, how long you're going to wait in line for a show, I personally always bring a portable charger.
Oh, even if I'm not camping at all, I bring a portable.
Because that is something that you never want to happen, is if you get to the show and then your phone's dead and you can't take a photo at all.
That would suck.
Yes.
And you're on the barricade.
Yes, because you waited so long. So make sure to bring a portable charger, especially if you're waiting a long time. Like bring the plug just in case.
Yes.
Because randomly, if you're going to get food, maybe at Panera, there's an outlet, or there's a few different places. If you really need it, you could go use an outlet.
I recommend, if you're going to be camping for a long time, to bring your own snacks and food. Just make sure that you have snacks and you're not just eating like fast food.
Totally.
This will be helpful because then you won't spend as much money.
Yeah, especially if you're in a city that's smaller, like where places are gonna close at midnight. If you're camping overnight, and that might be like 6 hours that nothing is open around you.
Yeah.
So make sure to bring some snacks.
For sure.
And waters.
I personally don't bring a chair, but a lot of people I know do.
Yeah.
They bring a like soccer chair or like a foldable chair, lawn chair, whatever you want to call it.
That's definitely only something to bring if you have a good place to store your stuff.
For sure. It kind of depends on the fandom as well if you have to camp overnight. So, you know, I have experience with it because I've camped for Harry Styles, I've camped for 5 Seconds of Summer, I've camped for Louis Tomlinson. So really hardcore fandoms, you're gonna have to camp overnight if you want Barricade. That's just what it is.
I'm surprised we haven't said this yet. Camping only happens if there's a general admission or a pit.
Yes.
So like if everyone has a seat in this venue, like a theater usually never has a pit. So you'll never see people camping at a theater venue because there's no point.
Lastly, there are also some things that you have to bring if you are staying and you're not leaving. If you are staying, you're going to have to bring your show outfit. If you wear makeup, you're going to have to bring your home makeup and everything to get ready. A mirror, you're going to have to bring your clear bag for the show, your shoes for the show, because I know that you did not wear Doc Martens to camp. You're going to have to bring everything that you need for the show as well. So I always just get like a big duffel bag and just put everything in it.
Before they let you in the venue, I would highly recommend going to the restroom. Right before the time that they say they're gonna let you in, go to the bathroom right before that, because once you enter that venue and get to that barricade, you are not leaving that barricade.
Nope.
So that's when like I would slow my water intake a little bit.
And take pictures before you get into the venue. If you want cute pictures.
Especially like full body ones that you can take from like further away. So maybe go take a few photos, go to the bathroom, and then get back in line. Yeah.
I feel like if you've never camped for a show, especially with hardcore fandoms like we have experience with, you might kind of be like taken aback by the culture of it.
Totally.
This comes with any fandom, very like strongly opinionated fandoms. There's going to be drama no matter what show, where you are, anything, because someone is going to do something that someone else is not going to like. So, for example, if you see someone who is line cutting, I know that you do not want to be a snitch, but please tell someone and please tell security so that you don't lose your barricade spot that you just waited 15 hours for. I will say too, a lot of times fans are really good about honoring fan numbered line systems. So that is just like when whoever is number one or, you know, at the front of the line, they bring their own wristbands or they bring a Sharpie and you get a number. Whenever someone new comes to the end of the line, they write a number on your hand, or, you know, whoever is the last person in line will say, oh yeah, you have to go get a wristband, and they'll give you a wristband. It's usually a different color than the venues, and it'll have a number on it, and they'll say, this is your number for the fan numbered system. And a lot of times if you run to get a wristband or run as you are going into the pit to get barricade, they will send you to the back of the line and they will make you wait and watch the entire barricade fill up and you will be stuck in the back of pit and you just waited all night.
Yeah, and they will definitely tell you that, like, before they start letting everyone in, like, absolutely no running. If you run, you will be kicked out.
And like, they are not kidding. I have seen that happen.
Because they don't want people getting trampled.
So do not run wide, fast-paced steps. Do not run. So that is all of our tips and tricks on how to get Barricade if you want to go and you want to camp for a show.
Because these change every year too. They evolve over time.
For sure. So if we missed one, make sure you comment it below. And we really hope that you have fun at your next show and you get Barricade.
Yes, have fun.
Bye.